I did want to ask how important you think foiling is to the modern sport of sailing. And where do you think its place arises? Is it going to be water wide from lakes and bays to open ocean, or is there a criteria for where foils will be popular? They're all over the place on Maui. You see them
Yep.
in most bodies of water, but it's taken a long time for the ultims to be able to fly successfully across oceans. Is there a place in between for foiling?
Yeah, I think foils, hydrofoils, and their growing popularity, kind of across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Kiteboards, SUPs, surfboards, boats, sailboats, motorboat, whatever the case might be, they are their usage is increasing, and I think that's pretty obvious and unanimous across the board. I think that is because the technology to build them, to understand how to design them for your specific purpose, be it kiting or surfing or whatever the case is. There's an understanding that the design of your foil can drastically change your experience in your application.
Right, as you were mentioning earlier with the downwind ocean foiling.
Right, and so learning more about that and the different applications and design criteria that go with them have made them more functional.
Mm-hmm.
Construction has made them more accessible, I guess you'd say. And experimentation and sort of that progressive attitude and that open mind has led a lot of creators to experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
And so while initially that doesn't necessarily translate to accessibility to the masses, it will. There's always going to be a performance community that's just looking to push the barriers.
Right.
But what that does is it pulls the whole industry or sport or however you want to gather it all together. It gives access. Yeah, I look at it like when we went to the moon. Was there any real practical purpose for us going to the moon? Are we going to open neighborhoods on the moon? Are we going to have our electrical factories or manufacturing going on there? No. The moon isn't the final objective. It's the technology it takes to get there. That's where the gold is. It's not on the moon, right? And I look at it the same way with everything that's going on with hydrofoils and kites or any progressive activity. Those guys at the front that are pushing the boundaries, making the mistakes, learning what it's going to take to achieve their goals, they're creating the technology that ultimately will raise up the whole sport. And so, yeah, I think while initially those guys have to find the answers to some of the questions they're creating, all of that information ultimately will become part of a product that is affordable to some degree, that is user-friendly, that is geared towards using it between, say, 10 to 20 miles an hour, not 20 to 50 miles an hour.
Right.
So, yeah, there's benefit to everybody at some point.
So taking that, what would a Dave Kalama kite boat look like?
That's a good question because I have given it absolutely zero thought.
That's what I figured. That's why I posed the question.
Well, before I design a boat, I got to figure out what I want the boat for or what I want it to do.
That's what I was going to say. If you were to contemplate a kite boat, what would be the design brief? what would you be looking for it to do?
Well, first thing I have to figure out is how selfish my goals are. Is it something I want to use and progress and scare the bejesus out of myself? Or is it something I want to turn into a potential commercial endeavor and make it really easy to use and simple to use, and something that, some guy in Iowa on the lake with 8 to 10 knots of wind can go out and enjoy a version of what I'm doing here in Hawaii.
Right.
So first I got to figure out how selfish I am. It is my objective to entertain myself,
yes,
and have pure fun with me and my friends, or is it a commercial endeavor? So that dictates a lot of your design criteria.
Right.
Because ultimately what you're talking about is what kind of speeds are you trying to achieve? And there's so much that goes into designing for certain brackets of speed, I guess you'd say. And then even within those, are you focusing on making it easy to get out of the water, and the main goal is to get on the foil as quickly as possible? Are you anticipating the hull is going to be interacting with the surface of the water a lot? So now you've got to change maybe what the hull looks like, so that minimizes the drag or maximizes the lift of the foils as quick as possible. So there's so many kind of design criteria that you need to work out first before you address what the boat's going to look like. And then even once you figure out all your criteria, there's a lot of personal belief and opinion. Because while you can scientifically prove most of this stuff, most designs that I know of are just a huge blend of compromises.
It is always a compromise.
And so while there's a million versions of chocolate cake and how much butter versus eggs and flour and milk, we're all making chocolate cake, but they are all going to taste different, right? And so the same applies to boats. I might be thinking a planing hull that's where it is. If it doesn't bounce off the water and plane really well, then you're wasting your time. Whereas the next guy down the line might be going, you're crazy. We're not planing, we're on foils. The boat needs to be able to get up to 10 miles an hour as quick as possible and then get the hell out of the way and let the foils take over.
Right.
So personal philosophy so much plays a point in what an individual's design is going to look like. But if you now create a racing class, that design is going to start to meld together and they're going to look more similar to each other ultimately, because like with any other competitive sport, one design is going to rise to the top.
Right.
And so designs follow the leader to some degree, unless someone's willing to take a chance and go way out in left field and see if they can beat whatever's currently the consensus of being the best.
The best and fastest at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.